Never seen a smile so big on my little old lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. Pack up all of my bait and I make plans for 7:45, and I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. Some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. Well, evening. How is everyone today? Holy smokes. I bet you're like me and you're probably a little groggy from the weekend. We have a lot to discuss. There's a lot of folks here that are going to be recapping and talking about what happened on Sunday and this weekend. And as I said, it wasn't just what happened Sunday. A lot of folks were busy at the Belmont show. A lot of other shows were going on. As I said, it was a beautiful weekend weather-wise. If everybody got out and enjoyed that warm weather, I hope you did. If you weren't with us, I hope you did have some fun. You caught some fish. You maybe went hunting. Who knows? But needless to say, we do have a lot to discuss. So I'm going to get to it right now because, as I said, there's so much to talk about. Steve's in the house. How you doing, Steve? Adrian, pleasure meeting you for the first time, my friend. We've had a lot of great chats, and I like what you're doing and who you're doing it with. And if Joe's watching, how you doing, Joe? I see why you like Adrian. He's a cool guy. Lloyd's in the house. How you doing, Lloyd? Corey's with us. Tony Sizanowski, as always. Thirsty Lures. Frank Thurston is with us. Good to see you, buddy. And as I said, you are a gem, my friend. Thanks so much for being you. Richard Dunlop's here. Eve, how you doing, my friend? Sonia as well. We got quite a few of you. Holy smokes. Mike Parker, buddy. I can't say enough about the Handlebars family. You folks are gems, absolute gems. This community, this Canadian tackle industry is, as I said, I can't say it enough. It's strong because of people like Handlebars Muskie Lures. That entire family is just, they're amazing. So hats off to you, Rocky. You were a huge help. Nice to see you, Ed. We missed you. Would have loved to have seen you there, but maybe next time. And even if I have to come pick you up, Rocky, big help. Thanks so much for showing up early as you did. That was a big help. Bob Business here, Jaker Man, Big Ugly Bruce Downs. As I said, the Downs family as well. These folks are they're rock stars in my opinion. They're all rock stars. James Shembry, another gem. We are so fishing fanatics. My Lord, man, look at these people that are popping up here. Holy crap! Wow. I what can I say about Adam and Michelle other than thank you? That's all. That's all I could say. Alicia, great seeing you. And TJ Sparkus is in the house. We'll get to you as well because you're a gem as well, my friend. You and Linda were awesome all weekend. Will, nice to see you, my friend. Jim Fowl. Holy smoke, there's a lot of you here. Okay, well, you know what? We better get to it right away. Lynn, nice seeing you, meeting you for the first time. I see why you like Jay. I get it. He's cool. He's a good guy. I get it. Dean, you were there as well. All right, listen. For just a sec, I know Steve's probably going to be sharing links, and I'm going to be going through some of the overlays just to thank a whole bunch of people, because there's a ton of people to thank. And if I have forgotten you, please reach out and give me SHIT. Okay. If I forgot you, don't hold back. Don't get mad. Let it all out. Because if I forgot you, it's my fault and I'm sorry. I'm going to say it right up front. So what we're talking about, this was the Made in Canada tackle show. It was a showcase of Canadian tackle producers. Again, I'm glad that everybody did well. From what it sounds like, everybody did well. It seems like everybody's happy. What we're not going to do is this. You know what? There's a lot of things at play that made it successful. And anybody who knows me knows that I never take the whole credit for anything, because there's too many working parts. And actually, there's a video that I wish I could share, and I can't seem to get the audio to work on it. I don't know why, but anyway, I will be sharing it, maybe featuring it later on in the week. But I will get to why I'm saying this. This show was a coming together of very like-minded people in the Canadian tackle industry. They do wonderful things for our CFN Fish Off, our meet and greets, our OFC Nation, our CFN retreats, prizes that, Moose and I give out, at various shows, whatever we do. They always come to bat for us, and they provide us everything we need. So to all you vendors, we'll get to you as well, but to everyone that helped make this a successful show, thank you, because you did. And there was no small part in this. There was no large part. It was just a combined effort, and thank you. I also want to thank the hosts, the Woodstock Fairgrounds. They made this show work. They helped us in every way they could. They were up late. They arrived early. And as I said, the food that they shared at the cafeteria was also awesome. So again, big shout out to the facility and those who run it. You guys made the weekend. This gentleman, he's going to be mad at me. I know he's going to be mad at me, but Brad Norris from POW Casting. Brad and I had a conversation actually at Camp McIntosh out on the water about how the show was going to play out, how we could put something like this together. And as I said, it started as a concept of a CFN Appreciation Day, simply for all of those tackle producers that have helped out in the various things that I said, the various events. But Brad and I spent the whole weekend fishing. We had an absolute blast, but we came up with the concept of what you saw on Sunday. And, there's some tweaking. We're going to reach out to the vendors and find out, what their thoughts are, how they'd like to see it change. I'm getting lots of great advice from people, even on this panel tonight, about how we can tweak to make it better. And, some people get offended about criticism, but when it's constructive, you listen. And that's why we have two of these and one of these. And my old man always said, use these more than you use those. That's why you've got two of them. You'll learn. If you're never going to learn anything if you're always talking. And I will say the constructive criticism that we're getting, I truly appreciate, because it's only going to make that showcase, that extravaganza, whatever you want to call it, even better. But a big shout out to Brad and his entire family. They soldiered through a really tough couple of days. Brad got rushed to hospital Friday morning. He was having incredible pain. Hopefully it's just kidney stones. That's all it is. Because the minute they put a catheter in him, he had instant relief. But he had to walk around with it all weekend. So when you saw him sitting, when you saw him, he had to. And by the time it was all over, I'm sure the pain and exhaustion was 10 times what it was for me. So Brad, you nailed it, bud. Good for you. And thank you for everything you do. So can't say enough about the entire Norris family. They were an integral part of the success of the show. So I can't thank them enough. Okay. Steve Shaw, this guy doesn't get enough credit for what he does behind the scenes. And when it comes to, our edits, building our community, showing up to events, helping out, Steve, you do a lot, and I know you hate this, but I gotta say thank you, dude. You and Don and your entire family, you guys are saints. You're salts of the earth, absolute salts of the earth. Mike gave me a bit of a scare, and I want to say on behalf of all of CFN and OFC Nation, Merle, our sincerest condolences. I know you had a death in the family. Mike wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it. I was in panic mode, probably wasn't as sincere as I should have been. Like, Mike, what are you talking about? Anyway, I'm glad it all worked out. Mike, thanks so much for doing what you did in the back. It meant a lot to have you there, and a part of the success was because of your participation, your involvement. The speakers, wow, again, can't thank this gentleman enough for coming out. His involvement in this community is integral, and you saw it on full display on Sunday. And the fact that he's suffering with with mobility issues, with a little bit of pain. I believe Tammy had fallen, and his commitment, his dedication to this community is a reason that it's so successful. So, Big Jim, big shout out to you as our MC, and of course to go through the speakers, Drew Baker. Honored to meet you, my friend. What you supplied our audience, second to none. Absolutely second to none. So, Drew, thanks so much. Great to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you put on various other seminars, as well as seeing you maybe out on the water. Sparkus, you and Linda, as I said, are absolute gems. It was great to have you a part of this as well. And I will say this, when it comes to some of the charters, like you had Matt Bowman there, you have Michelle and Adam from Fanatic Fishing Charters. You've got Sparkus. There was Will Sadowski. These folks all expressed to me that they have a bit of a concern when it comes to this year. They're not getting bookings. And I'm just going to call it. I'm just going to say it. They're not getting bookings. So they helped us. We're going to help them. We're going to be giving some charters away next week. We've decided with some of the proceeds that we're going to purchase the charters. We don't want them donated. We're going to purchase the charters, and we're going to raffle them off. So I want you here next Monday. Hopefully we'll get Brad on here as well. And to the vendors, to those who filled out ballots at the show, we're going to give away some really cool stuff. So stay tuned next week, because as I said, what I really want to do is call to order all you folks. If you have a little bit of cash running around, our charter captains, our guides, this is going to be a tough year for them. So book a charter. This is what I'm going to say. It's not about going out fishing. Yes, fishing is part of it, but book a charter. They're hurting. They need our help. So please help out. Okay. And I tell you, if I can, I'd book them all, especially the ones that were at the show. These three, what can I say? Trevor, if you're listening, and I know his dad's probably saying, okay, here we go. Swell his head some more, Scotty. You have done exactly what I envisioned you to do. I mean, the fact that you're bringing Owen along for the ride and along this journey, if you will, is a true testament to the kind of people the Barnucz family is. But Owen Brock is like a Barnucz, and we're looking forward to seeing him possibly in the next upcoming CFN Live from down in Oklahoma, where he's going to be competing for the Bassmaster Kayak Championship. It's such a big deal, and to have such a young man involved in that, awesome to you, Owen. Trevor, keep doing what you're doing, my friend. If you're loving it, stick with it. I hope you have a long career in it, because that's how I envision it. I really do. This is the next generation of anglers. This is who's going to be picking up the baton when we can't do it anymore. When our time is over, and we just, we're drooling on ourselves. We're in an old age home. People are changing our diapers. Those two bookends right there are going to be the future of this industry. So a big shout out to them. Also, I can't say enough about the entire community. And this picture is a great capture. It's probably my favorite capture of the whole weekend, because it's everybody. It's everybody. It's not one person. It's not one platform. It's not one community. It's everything. And we managed to capture all of that at the show. Yes, there's some things that we need to tweak, some things that we certainly learned from. It was great having Andy Pilata there, giving his support, and he congratulated both Brad and I in the success of the show. Andy, that meant a lot. I honestly can't thank you enough. Kyle Carruthers, same thing, reached out from CanCast, offered some congratulations because we're getting a lot, and I'm humbled by it all. I very much appreciate it. But when you're getting that kind of accolades from people who do this for a living and do this professionally, and their shows are, like they're the granddaddies, and we're looking forward to CanCast. Moose and I will be talking about it, but this is awesome, man. Like it's a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie, it's a great feeling. But I'll tell you this CFN community, it makes me speechless to see where we have come from the days that Red and I were, sitting at Heritage Fish and Chips to where we are now. I certainly envisioned it. I certainly saw it happening. But you can't anticipate something this good happening that quickly unless you are surrounded by good people. So as the proverb says, as the overlay says, CFN, OFC Nation, we appreciate you guys in a way that I can't even begin to express. If I have forgotten anybody, and I'm sure I have, please let me have it, because you were all huge. The vendors, I want to circle through and give you guys props. People ask, like, Scotty, how did you make this so successful? Brad was probably asked the same question a million times. And I'll be honest with you, it's because of the vendors. The vendors sold this show. We could sit back and we can pat ourselves on the back, beaters. I'm not into any of that. It's these vendors. These vendors really sold this show. So to you vendors, and I'm going to wait till this cycles through. I'm not going to finish because I think I got to give everybody their due props and their due time. As you see these people cycle through, visually keep in mind, make a mental note. These are the people that supported us. How this works is you anglers, you community, whether you're from GCFA, OWA, OFC Nation, or CFN, support these folks because they did wondrous things this weekend to help us and our community. Yes, we gave back in a way that we provided a venue that was feasible and physically possible for them to attend, because there was a lot of tackle makers that don't show up at these shows, that this became a venue. It became their platform. It's what CFN has always wanted. Give the average angler, give the average tackle maker a platform through which they can promote themselves. We accomplished that. And that is the success story of Sunday. It really is. Because at the end of the day, there's really not much else to it. There's all kinds of shows. There's all kinds of events, tackle swaps. There's all kinds of that stuff. We didn't do anything really any different than anybody else, other than we sort of stamped it as a Made in Canada tackle industry showcase. But the coming together of the group, the coming together of these like-minded people, folks that, maybe have struggled, are struggling, it's a tough year. The industry's going through a lot of hard times. And I tell you, it didn't look like it on Sunday. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's saying that was there. It didn't look like a struggle. Everybody went home what it looks like, a smile on their face, whether they went home with a wad of money or a little bit of money. They covered their costs, and we accomplished what we had hoped to do. So a big shout out to all you vendors, all you helpers. And there's so many that helped out, that came early, that stayed late. All that doesn't get put up, by the snap of a finger. It takes some time. So to all those who made this the success that it was, hats off to all you. Okay. I can't thank you enough. So upcoming next and I won't jump too far because I want to give everybody their due. But as I said, keep in mind, these are the folks that I really want to support. I really want to help because they helped us, and they help us continuously, whether they offer up charters, offer up tackle for our CFN fish off, stuff that we give away at our OFC Nation booth at the Spring Fishing and Boat Show. They help out in huge ways that we can't even begin to properly thank them. But I want to say this. You guys can help me thank them by helping them. Buy some of their products. Like, it's just that simple. Just help out in ways that will keep this industry strong. Does that make sense? I mean, I really don't know what else to say. So when you are looking at coming to the next event, of course, the next event that is upcoming is the Toronto Sportsman Show. We will be there. I will be there in the Next Gen booth, and come by, buy a ballot, because we're going to be doing some great things for some very deserved youth, troubled youth, youth at risk. I mean, you can classify it any way you want, but these kids don't have a lot of great things to look forward to, and they circle this date in their calendars. So come by, say hi. We're going to be at the Toronto Sportsman Show along with some other great people that you saw go through this list. After that, as I said, Kyle, Sean, Mark, the three of my friends, as I said, the support was felt even though you weren't there. Kyle, we had a great conversation, and he wished us nothing but great luck. And as I said to him today, I appreciate the accolades. Now it's time to pump the SHIT out of your show. So we're going to do that. Help me do that. CanCast is one that is near and dear to our heart because we have sat back and we've watched that grow into what has become a really cool show. It's a really cool show. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody at CanCast with OFC Nation, and it's going to be fun. Last but not least, I just want to talk about our upcoming CFN retreats. Horwood Lake Lodge, it is going to be August 11th to 17th. As it is right now, I do believe there is just the one cabin available. I am hearing grumblings. Perhaps some of those have been spoken for. Please reach out to Warren and Doris immediately. If you're looking to come up to Horwood Lake Lodge and having a great time, would love to see you there. Please book. Because as I said, spots are slowly falling apart or disappearing. And of course, Camp McIntosh, September 27th to the 29th. It is going to be the third annual OFC Nation retreat. Love to see you there. Please contact Andre and Tracy. Get your butt booked in a bed. It's going to be another great weekend. And all those who have come to, whether it be our OFC Nation retreat or our CFN retreat, you know how much fun it is. You know how much fun we have. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Okay. I think I've done as much as I can to thank. Again, if I've forgotten somebody, I so very much apologize, but let me have it because I want to hear who I forgot, because you're going to get double the accolades going forward. We got Big Jim coming up next, right after a word from our sponsor. Oh, buddy. Oh, nice. Now, is that the one that you were talking to me about?
What I got.
There's a special story here. I know there is. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oops. I'm upside down. That's nothing new. How's that?
It's awesome, buddy. Was that Mr. Junker that made that for you?
No.
Oh, then I'm complete. Handlebars. Whoa, boom shakalaka.
How's that? One of a kind.
Buddy, I'll tell you.
That's going in a special spot. I've got a few things hanging there, and that's going to be with them.
It's going in a special spot from a special group of people. I can't say enough about the Handlebars Muskie Lure family. They do us so proud all the time, and it's nice to see that you went away with something special from them. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really, people don't realize, they think, like something like that. People have no concept what stuff like that means to me.
Yeah.
They have zero. Oh, I got to show you another thing. So I had a guy come up to me. He said he makes lures. He's watched me make jigs forever and whatever. And he pumped up about it. Come on, wherever you are. Uh-oh. I will find it. So it's all relative. The guy makes these little jigs, zonker minnows, and he comes up and he gives me a little jig in the bag with a rabbit tail on it and everything. I have all these things. I have them all. They're all hanging all over the room here in places and whatever, Somebody takes the time to give me something, I cherish it. It's really, really cool. So it's kind of neat.
And it's funny because a lot of people were saying just that, Jim, and you have been, and I'll never forget a conversation I had with Heather Reed from GCFA, or I should say Heather Kuntz now, but Heather Reed back in the day. And she said, Scotty, I know you're getting back into this industry, and, if there's any advice I can give you, model yourself after Big Jim. Big Jim is...
You need to get the flow going then.
I can't. That's great. I'm glad you said that, because I said, listen, I would love to, but those shoes are bigger than I could ever fill.
Yeah.
And I can't do it,
buddy.
I can't
You're
do
doing it great. I got a few things I wrote down here too. I hope Brad's feeling better. It was awesome, like to see him at the end when I eventually got up the other end of the building. You have no idea how far away that looked to me. That's why I wanted to come up to the front to come in. So my hat's off to Brad. It was a great job that he did, and I'm sure we're going to do a lot of. I'm personally going to hopefully do some stuff with Brad moving forward here when the time is right. So the seminars. Sparkus Fisher did a seminar on Lake St. Clair. And if I was going to go fish Lake St. Clair, I can go there. He told you everything you needed to know. It was really, really cool. Really, really cool. And that's, I noticed that I watch things like this. I watch when there's a seminar, and I watch for this. Are the people watching, or are they playing with their phones? And
yes,
we've discussed this before about things like that, and you can tell when they want to learn stuff, and they're out there. But that to me is a pretty big deal. But the high point was when I gave you that circle of excellence thing, which I hope you're going to carry on. Do you have it there, or did you break it?
Oh, yes, I do, and I should probably enlarge this because there is quite a story, and as you can see, there's a part of the leaf that's broken, and that's the Scotty factor. So when I received this, of course, everybody knows I'm a touchy-feely guy, and I love giving out hugs. And I forget who it was. I think it was Richard Elliott who took the video. I can't get the audio to work, Jim, and I wanted to play it tonight because it wasn't about receiving the award. It was about the story and what it meant to me to have it presented by you. That was the big thing. But the funny part is Moose is walking around with this. And as you can see, there's some incredible people that signed this. Absolutely gems and salts of the earth. But one of them also is myself, because I thought, and I was under the impression that this was going to Steve Shaw. And I was so stoked that I said, yeah, baby, love Scotty. Thanks for all you do, Steve. I had no idea. So when this all went down, and I'll let you explain it, but when this all went down, you guys took me by surprise. You take it from there.
This is why you're who you are and why people love you. And that's why we did that. When I called Moose about that, Moose came up with that in about 35 seconds. I had a couple of ideas, and I remember he texted back and said, "What about this?" And I said, "Okay, you win."
Well,
So here's a picture yesterday when I gave it to you. I mean, when I gave you the award.
yeah,
So there you can see we're just about to give each other a hug.
yeah,
So my takeaway from this whole thing, besides you getting it and what this is all about, and the way I saw this, and the way we are together, and the way we care about each.
yeah.
So here's somebody standing in the background. And if this look doesn't say what this is all about, then you just need to turn in your CFN card and leave.
Wow.
Can you see the smile on his face?
Yeah,
And that's the background in the photo.
yeah,
And that to me says it all.
yeah.
You rock. You snore like a freight train, but you're right.
Yeah, he does. And you know what?
But you're still the champ. You're the
I-
only person who ever made me vibrate out of the bed, and you're on a cot and you're out the side of the room.
Oh man, yeah, it was funny. Somebody said something, Scotty, and I think you may have been the one that was saying it to whoever. But he said, "I heard you're a bit of a champ when it comes to snoring," because he said Moose put up a good fight last night, but Jim was surprised that he sort of petered out. If Scotty was in the room, all the furniture would be laying on the ground.
Oh God, it'd all be on one side. If there was a slight tilt in the floor, everything would be vibrated down to the end. Egad.
So, as I said, Jim, what this is to me is a representation of our community, of the work that you, Jay, Lawrence, myself, Moose, everybody, Steve, Walter, legacy members. This is, and I accept this on behalf of everybody, because this is everybody that gave it to me, and I can say that because there's a lot of people that signed it.
My name's isn't on it.
But to receive it from you, the way it was presented, Jim, it meant the world, because if there's anybody that I have tried to model myself by, is you, my friend.
Well, I got mine,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
to me is the one, and I have it because you drove me. I would still have it, but like I told you, I wasn't ready to go through an airport in a wheelchair. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I hope I never do if it ever happens, but I knew it would have to happen for that. And when you jumped on board,
I just want you to know, Jim, we're now even, okay? We're even. I know
Cool.
you said I could never thank you for it. Well, you did, and we're even.
fat chance.
Jim, what outside of the
I'll be coming for you.
Yeah, outside of the seminars, what was one of the takeaways that you saw? I mean, I know you talked about the seminars. Was there a takeaway or an event that you said I gotta mention this on Monday, because this was really cool?
Well, go back to the seminars. The young lads, they were incredible.
Yeah.
You can see them, the ability that they're getting to speak. They're still a little bit, between the two of them when they're up there, they're having a good time. It's a really cool thing for them.
Yeah.
But they both speak very well. There's guys that have been doing it for years, and I'm not blowing any smoke here. There's guys that have been doing it for years that do not conduct themselves as well as those young lads did. And, I think it's only going to get better for them. It's only going to get better for them the more that they do it. And the only thing is that they're young. So they're still having, it's still really overly cool. Like, don't think that every time I'm asked to do something, I don't enjoy it just as much, or else I wouldn't be doing it. Like, I'm off to Belleville this weekend, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I got my seminars here on the flash drive, and I'm all ready to go. I left the stuff still in the truck. So it's what it is. When I got home last night, I was a wreck. My body I don't know. Driving has never bothered me. When I came in the door last night, if Mike Tyson would have been here, I would have just taken the hat off and said, "Let's go."
Wow.
I might still be asleep, but I would have engaged in a second.
Wow.
I was just in so much pain. I could not believe it.
Yeah.
And it's, I said to Tammy tonight, I said, I wonder if I have a limit, because I was almost 5 hours to get home. And I said, I did get out a few times to stretch. I had my foot up on the tailgate, the whole deal.
Yeah.
But I wonder if I have a limit there, because I usually drive about 3 hours, 3.5 max for most of the things that I do without getting out to do something for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if I would have just had a little more time, if I wouldn't have been in as much pain. But you know what? 7:45 this morning, I was in the gym.
Amen. And it was difficult getting up this morning for work. I'm not going to lie. One thing that I'm so glad you brought this up, Ed, because it was something I wanted to talk about too. How about Cooper doing us proud?
Yep. He got a belt. Did you see that though? The top 10 guys all had over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
My God. But you know, this is what they do. If you notice, the tournaments start in the south and work their way north. They follow the time of the season when these fish will be going shallow.
Yeah.
And it makes it, and plus Lake Fork is like, it's the end all. Like they know the fish are in there, whether you can catch them or not. I forget how many boats in a day is on Lake Fork, and then they had all the practice. They got everybody else that's just out there recreational fishing. It's for a wonder anybody could get a bite. And these guys, you know, the young lad that won, he averaged 5 pounds of fish.
Like to me, that back in the day, Jim, like how is it so different now from when it was when you were competing? When you see century bags being brought, or sorry, a total weight well over 100 pounds. How do you compare that to when you were competing?
Well, because they're down south and it's largemouth.
Yeah.
These fish were always there.
Okay.
The guys are getting better. They just happened to hit them. They hit them perfect.
Yeah.
The timing. Like after practice, a lot of the guys started talking about bags close to 40 pounds, which means, you know, you're bringing in 5 that are, you know, close to 8 pounds apiece. You know, 99% of the fishing community will never catch an 8-pound bass on a scale. You know, I know a lot of 10s that have been caught, but they're being held across the back, you know, they're not, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But, you know, all these fish go on a scale. It's all legit on the weight. And they've always been there. The guys are getting better. And I know everybody's been yapping and fighting and arguing about forward-facing sonar. Well, like I said, on one of the things I got on the other day there, and I don't go on them too often because it just, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Mhm.
If you notice this year, a lot of the results from a lot of tournaments that have happened about all the guys in the top 10 and a lot of the ones that are higher up are all guys that are sort of kind of used to being there and winning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not, and if you look down at, you know, I was looking at the thing the other day, there's guys down in 60th, 70th place that have won the classic. They've been angler of the year. So it's not the machine. It's not the box. Yeah, does it show you the fish? Is it cool? It's cool beyond cool. First time I actually saw that work in a boat. I was like, oh, you know, I couldn't believe it. But I said to a couple of young kids the other day, I made a comment to them. I said, but where do you draw a line? You know, and I've come back to this all the time. I remember when I used to have back to the pixels with the squares. I always joke about that the 8-inch pixels. Well, we didn't start with pixels. We started with a flasher, and it was real time. And because it was real time, I watched it all the time. Because if there was anything going on, I could see it, just like they watch now. Except instead of it being a red line, it's the shape of the fish.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys like you watch Dave Gens. I fished with him ice fishing, and he sees different red lines and how they're moving and what they're doing. He can tell you if he's going to catch the fish. Just like they say, well, guys have learned to watch on forward-facing sonar. Well, Dave Gens does that with a flasher. It's like anything else. You have to learn to use it. And, you know, I tell you, it's not going to go away.
No, it isn't.
The things that they banned. Hey, Scotty? They tried to ban, you know, you used to only be allowed, I think it was 10 pounds of tackle and 5 rods or something in the boat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Then you weren't allowed a rod over 8 feet long. They tried to ban paper graphs.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
The X16s and there was a Vexilar. I think it was a Vexilar 555. It was a paper graph, which I think was the best one that was ever out there. I've seen them both work a lot. But they tried to ban that. Well, most recent, the Alabama rig.
Yes. Yeah.
There's places want Senkos banned. Like that never gained any traction, but it did become an issue.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was an issue because somebody caught a lake trout and said it was bad for the lake trout because they found one in their stomach, and that's when the guy got mad at me when I said, well, all due respect, it wasn't the Senko that killed the fish; it was the fillet knife that you used that killed the fish. You know.
And you know, I listen. I always try to be on both sides of an argument, and I'm not seeing. I'm just not seeing a good enough reason to ban forward-facing sonar.
You can't. How can you do that?
No,
This is not common in this country. Yeah.
I don't. And at the end of the day, you know, it's about tournament fishing, and these folks are trying to get that next edge to win some money. That's the whole tournament purpose. That's the whole tournament game. So how can you ban something that's going to make them a better angler? I don't get
Well,
that.
like I said, you know, let's take away electric motors. Guys used to say it's not fair. You have an electric motor.
Yeah.
I've heard that 100 times when I had the little aluminum boat when I started fishing tournaments, and I had the motor, the little electric on the back, because it wasn't a front mount; it had to be on the back. That's what I told you. What I used to show up with the rocks in the trunk and put the rocks in the front of the boat so I could stand in the back, and the boat wasn't like up on one end, and I would back around with the electric. And you know, it was just what you did. But you know, what do you bet? Then we have. I remember when I had 150 horsepower motor, and then guys had 250s, and they could run twice as far in a tournament. And go, oh, that's not fair. You got a 250. I only have a 150. Well, get a 250. You know, if you don't like forward-facing sonar, well, then get a forward-facing sonar and learn how to use it. And you know, there's people out there saying that this is going to empty the lakes of fish and everything else, but the number of people that have a forward-facing sonar and will ever have a forward-facing sonar is like, you know, how many millions of people fish? How many thousands of forward-facing sonars are there in Canada? You know,
and when we say let's get Canada fishing, it's not let's get Canada fishing. Make sure you grab your forward-facing sonar before you go.
It's sitting in a boat with a bobber and a minnow.
That's not.
And that's what it is. It's a complete different thing. Tournament fishing is like small, the overall thing. It's just that it gets all the press, and the guys are really good at. They're all like, there isn't one of them that's a bum. You know, it's not that type of thing. These guys are all deadly on any day. You can give any of them 3 rods in a boat, you know, no sonar, and go out and they catch fish. So, you know, it's like when we went out here last year and I didn't bring the electronics in the boat.
I know.
Didn't bother with it.
Yeah.
Well, we caught just as many fish last year as we did the year before.
And would we have had more fun with that on the board? Probably not.
No, because I wouldn't even have looked at it because
exactly. Manny's got a great comment. There's a lot of great comments, folks. I can't get to them all, and I apologize for that. But you know, it's nice to see Canadians. The future, we need more Canadians in Bassmaster Classic in the future. And I tell you, the way this country is pumping out good anglers, good sticks, I think it's inevitable. It's just
you look at the percentage. You know, we got 4 guys in there now, and it's only a matter of time until we have one. You know, Jamie Bruce is coming. He came close. We would have had a 5th. So if we would have had 5% of them, that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, as it is, there's basically 100 roughly. I think it's just under. So you know, we've got 4 or 5%. You know, 3 or 4%. Well, no, 4 or 5% of what's there. So that's pretty cool when you look at how small our country is. Yeah, exactly what Johnny Mac just said.
It's and it seems to be what a lot of people feel. I mean, is there a desire to want to get back to an old school style of tournament where you don't have all these featured electronics? Yeah, there's talk about that. And for those who are interested or can't maybe afford some of those electronics and you want to get back to the old school, hopefully there's some tournament hosts out there that will listen to you and provide you that opportunity, because I think there's a niche for all of it. I think there's places for all of this. And yeah, I just don't want to see something that is making someone a better angler taken away. That really doesn't have or make any sense to do so. That's just my feeling. And do we think it's going to empty the lakes? No, because you still got to follow the rules. And anyway, we could talk about that till the cows come home.
Yeah. Jim, it's what it is. Get on with it and look at it, you know.
Amen. Well, you know what, dude? As always, our time flies. I hate saying goodbye to you, but I know I have to in order to move on to Lawrence and the rest of the panel. But all I can say, bud, you hit me where it hurts, and I appreciate everything that you
did. The junk.
Yeah.
I didn't go low. Come on now.
No. Well, you know, it's not often that I get emotional, but when you were upstage and you were talking about it, man, it sunk in.
Well, the high point There was actually probably two, really. The one was the smile on Moose's face.
Yeah.
That to me just said how everybody is like this.
Yeah.
Because so often you see when somebody gets something, there's always somebody standing there like this.
Yeah.
That type of thing. But no, and the other one was I'll just leave it between us. When I got in the truck yesterday and I closed the door.
Yeah. Amen, brother. You got me. You got me, my friend. You have yourself a great night. We're going to see you next Monday. And are you going? You're at the show this weekend in Belleville?
Yeah, I'll go over. I'll head. Belleville's only 80 minutes from the door here, so I'll head over there first thing Friday morning.
Yes.
And I'll be there till Sunday afternoon, and then I'm home, and then it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the Toronto Sportsman Show, and then I have a weekend, and then it's Gagnon sale Friday and Saturday for me, tying jigs as usual. I always do that, and then Saturday afternoon I'll head up to Cancast, and then I come home, and if I don't die in the next month or 3 weeks or so here, they'll be putting me down, so it's all good.
Oh, God. Only you could say it, Jim, and get away with it. Bud, love you. You take care. Have yourself a great
week. Take care, guys. Be safe out there.
All the best. We got Lawrence coming up right after a word from our sponsor.
When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
Lawrence Gunther.
How you doing, man?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. It's a great kind of tired that I feel. I'm a little sore. Not gonna lie, but it was really important. It would have been easy just to say, let's take the night off, but there's just so many people to thank, Lawrence, and I owed it to them to do this tonight. Maybe not as fully prepared as I usually am with accompanied videos and what have you, but we had an awesome time, and I just want to say this: even though you weren't there, your presence was felt, and I say that because our CFN community is nothing without you. So
well, you know what? I was looking around for rides, but it's an 8-hour drive from where I am. And it's just I couldn't suck anyone into that talk. It's 3 days, right, to do that show. But we were thinking of you for sure, man. And fingers crossed. And it sounds like it just went great.
It did. Yeah, dude. It's humbling. As I said, I mean, it'd be easy for people to jump up and I guess beat their chest, and I don't know. I'm just humbled by it all. I was honored to be a part of the whole thing, and I was so happy and thrilled to hear that everyone had a success story. We got one from Michelle, shared with me from TNT. They were so blown away that they literally almost sold out of all of their stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
No, so it was really cool. But here's the thing: it offers you, and as long as you take everything in stride, and there's definitely a time to soak it in and celebrate. But it's the next one that becomes almost crucial to this momentum, if you will.
It's the second year, right? The first year people come and look and see what it's all about. You got to get them out the second year, because if they don't come the second year, that's then you're in a downward spiral.
Because this is my fear, Lawrence, is the bar has now been set, and I trying to copy that or exceed that.
You got no choice. You got to do more. You got to pull more rabbits out of the hat, man, because people are going to say, well, it's the same thing as last year. And no, it's got to be more than the same thing as last year. And then you got them coming back time and again.
Absolutely. But the biggest takeaway for me from this weekend was the buy-in from vendors. The Canadian tackle industry came together in a huge way and made an event that was, intended to be successful. And they did it because they all bought into the whole premise of what it was that we were trying to achieve. And again,
man, it's fantastic. And and everyone's looking for deals now. No one's got a bunch of money to throw around these days.
True.
So, but we're all want to get some new tackle for the coming season. So it's, this is great. It's affordable deals, and that's what, everyone needs those. Everyone needs those.
And you know what is happening, which I think was in the comments. I saw somebody post it. People are getting excited about fishing again.
Yeah.
You've got you got the thaw going on, right? You've got the runs that are ready to happen. I'm seeing steelhead being caught, walleye in the Detroit River being caught. Like, there's a buzz, and I don't know, I'm stoked. I'm excited too. I can't wait to get out fishing, the open soft water as well. But yeah, again, I don't know, really cool to be a part of. But Lawrence, as I said, you were sadly missed, but your presence was well known.
Well, I was thinking about you guys, so maybe some of my mental energy trickled down over the internet.
I can feel it.
Got into the room there.
Now, I know you've probably got some discussion items, and you're probably the best prepared out of all of us for tonight. So with that, what are we talking about?
Well, the news is coming out tomorrow. The Bluefish news will be out tomorrow for those of you who have signed up. But we got a lot of new people who registered at the Ottawa Boat and Outdoor Show. So we were really happy about that. So we're up over 5,000 subscribers for the Bluefish news. If you want to subscribe, go to bluefishcanada.ca. Reach down to the bottom of the page there, subscribe. No one will give your email away, and there's no ads. So it's all about fishing, fish habitat, and all the rest of the news, plus an editorial at the beginning. So I'll talk a little bit about the editorial, and then we'll get into the bit of the news. How's that?
You do it, dude. And just in case anybody has missed one of our podcasts, or perhaps some of the other podcasts that Lawrence does, it is available at Bluefish Radio, Bluefish Canada. Just go to Alexa and say, what's newest on Bluefish Radio? And it'll pop up, and you won't miss a single one. Take it away, Lawrence.
All right, man. I just co-wrote a chapter for this book that just came out called Thinking Big About Small-Scale Fisheries, right? So These are your ma and pa kind of boats, owned and operated. The guy that owns the fishing license owns the boat and actually goes out on the water and catches the fish, brings them back and sells them. Not the giant corporations that hire people at minimum wage, drags them out into the middle of the ocean for, a month at a time and works them to death. Not that kind of stuff, But there is a lot of small scale fisheries across Canada, like not just around the coast, but, we've got the longest coastline of any country in the world. The Arctic is opening up more and more with less and less ice. We're seeing Inuit, Scotty, I was up there, 10 years ago filming for this documentary I was making. Yeah. And I was talking to Inuit people. They, instead of bringing up aluminum boats, and shipping them up into the Arctic, the cost involved, they would order flat stock aluminum, just big flat sheets of aluminum, a skill saw, and a welder. And they would just basically trace out on the aluminum sheets and cut it with the skill saw and then weld it together. These 18-foot, 20-foot boats with little cabins in the front, and they would go out and set, 1,000 lines down 500 feet down, and pick up Greenland halibut and make money like they've never done before. They've never been able to have a commercial fishery like that because normally the ocean is frozen 9 months a year. I was up there at the beginning of November. There was still no ice. I went out for a drive with this guy on his boat, right? The fisheries in the Arctic, we know nothing about what's going on up there. And yet the fisheries are proliferating up in the Arctic. We have them, on the East Coast for 500 plus years now. It's still going on. On the West Coast, we see the trouble they're getting into out there with the salmon. And the Great Lakes is the most valuable freshwater fishery in the world. So when it comes to coastal fisheries and coastal communities, and small scale fishing operations, we can write the book, and we did. So there's 25 chapters in this book. I wrote one about the Great Lakes with a couple colleagues of mine, and just exploring where the hell is it all going? What's going to happen to these small scale fisheries? Is it going to go the way of the farm? Because look at what's happening with our farm communities, right? All these small towns. We had all these family farms. Every farm had a farmhouse, a barn, a tool shed, an equipment shed, 100 head of cattle, and other animals, and maybe some corn. They're all gone because one person in the neighborhood just keeps buying them out, knocking down the fences, buying these giant machines, and growing 3,000 acres of corn a year. They're just, these are not small scale farms anymore in Ontario. And if you look at the statistics, the number of farms in Canada is going down every year, but the average size of every farm is going up every year. So is that what's going to happen to our small scale fisheries? And so I wrote an editorial, and you can read it in the news. In my experience as a small scale commercial fisher back in the 80s and right up until the end of the cod stocks, I was on a homemade wooden boat, a homemade wooden dory like they did for 500 years, hand lining cod with a couple of guys, a son and his father. They make the boat. We go out fishing. It's got a car engine in the front of it. But, we were surrounded. There was boats that were steel boats, fiberglass boats, aluminum boats that had, could hold 4 crew and go out for a week at a time. That's what they were being incentivized to buy with loans, government-backed loans, to get, park their dories on their front lawns and leave them there as museum pieces, and then go out fishing for 3-4 days at a time, go out further and further and further, and get into nets and long lines and, with power winches, just upgrading and upgrading constantly. So when the cod stocks collapsed and they closed that fishery in 92, everyone blamed these giant offshore industrial fishing vessels, right? The big trawlers. They were in the news. They were the villains.
Exactly. And to your point, that Lawrence, that's exactly what the media portrayed, and that's, if you weren't educated, that's what we felt, and it was, damn Portugal, damn China, damn all these, these countries far away for taking all our fish.
Yeah, the Spanish, and then what did we do? We kicked them out. We got the international limit put in place by the United Nations. So now we controlled out to 200 kilometers off our shoreline. No one can come in there. That's our economic zone. Mm-hmm. What do? We licensed 5 of these giant trawlers ourselves to go out there and work those, that offshore area. Mm-hmm. But it's not like the inshore fishery was, just sitting back and taking it. Like I said, they were getting busy themselves with their own boats. That cod fishery closed. These guys turned to other things like dogfish, which are small shark, halibut, Greenland, all sorts of other fish, flounder. Within 5-10 years, they had pushed those fish stocks to the limit as well, and they were shut down. So what do they have left out there? They have herring on the East Coast. They have herring and lobster. Well, they had a snow crab too. So they had a draw. I remember in the early 90s, they had a draw. Everyone put their name in who had equipment. And 1 out of 3 had their name pulled and got a license. Now these guys could go out for 24 hours, 36 hours, come back with $10,000 worth of snow crab aboard their boats, and during that open season. So, these guys are making 6-figure salaries all of a sudden, doing well, and their neighbors are on welfare. But it was just the luck of the draw. Then the lobster fishers, they were asked to sell their licenses, whoever wanted to get out of it. And the government started buying up their lobster licenses for $1 million a piece and giving them to the First Nations communities so they could get in on the lobster fishery, and not only selling their licenses, selling their boats and all their gear and traps as well. So, all of a sudden you had these lobster fishers who were, 3rd, 4th, 5th generation lobster fishers, and been passing down that license from generation to generation. They're retiring as multimillionaires. Well, at least $1.5 million in the pocket, right? You pay off your loans, you got $1 million left. You did pretty nice, but you're out of it. So things are changing on the small scale fishery. Let's not deceive ourselves. This isn't just, giant ships. It's not, and it's not just can we just get back to small boats either? Because I don't think that's ever going to happen. But do we want to have all our coastal communities go the way of the small town, right? The small country town, and just have one guy out there? Like I have a friend, he's one of these farmers in central Ontario. He doesn't even live in the country. He has a small plane, and he just flies out there and lands on his runways that he's made on these farms, and spends a day out there and checks everything, and then flies back to the city where he lives with his wife. His wife wants nothing to do with living in the country. That's what we're getting to, right? Just hired hands running giant machines in the farmland, taking care of business. And we're getting that. We see that out in the West Coast. We see one guy owns all the fishing licenses pretty much for all the salmon fishing boats out there, the big commercial boats. And he's just hiring people and sending them out catching fish, netting up the fish, right? So it's I'm bringing this up because really it's about us too. We're like recreational fishers. And this is my next point. But maybe before I go on, I've been going on a lot. Maybe there's some comments or something.
Well, one comment I will say for sure is, it's not illegal what the gentleman is doing out in BC, at least when it comes to monopolizing the industry. But I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, our economy was deemed capitalism. It was capitalistic, I should say, not capitalism. It was capitalistic.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like capitalism is at play out in BC, and I think what has happened is no one saw this happening, so there was no barriers or legislation in place to allow everyone to profit from the fishery. So what he's done is it's a loophole, and he's exercised his right to monopolize an industry that should never have been monopolized in the first place.
It's like right here in Ottawa, we had one guy, he owned all the taxi licenses and he just leased them out to drivers, right? He owned them all. Well, and they're worthless now anyways because of Uber, so good for him. But, I agree. These examples I gave on the East Coast about, the lotteries for crab licenses and the buying and reallocation of lobster licenses and boats and all that, And then if you say, well, you can only catch, there's a quota and everyone can fish at the same time. And when the quota is filled up, everyone's done. So, there's no point in getting the biggest boat and trying to catch them all or faster than anybody else. You're just going to get home sooner than everybody else, but you're not going to necessarily make more money than everybody else. So there are ways that we've been doing it that equalize it to a degree, right? That don't just blow it wide open like we have with the agricultural sector. We're just the guy that can get the biggest loan, can buy the biggest machine, and then can lease out the land or own it or whatever. They have a million different sort of formulas that they can come at you with if you own a patch of land. It's but basically, from what I hear in agriculture wise, if you own 100 acres and you don't farm it anymore, but you own the farm, and this guy comes along and says, hey, we'll plant your land, we'll farm your land. And if it doesn't get farmed, if it doesn't get plowed and seeded, it's just going to go, it's just going to become a big weed patch. And then it's going to be small trees and shrubs and scrub. And it's going to be worthless, right? Because, no one wants to take care of land like that and have to remove all that again and start over. So you have no choice but to lease it out or it's worthless and it's not a farm anymore. So you lose your farm tax credit and all that. So they know that, and they give you almost nothing for the lease of your land to farm it, just so you can keep it as farmland and it doesn't just become a bush. So we've got to be a little bit more vigilant about this sort of thing. And I agree, people who are shitty farmers should get out and the good ones should stay. And same with fishers, but we shouldn't be stacking it against the average guy. So just the one can own it all in the end. And that's probably enough of that.
Well, I agree. And one thing that I will say is we're losing the craft of, the techniques, those intricacies when it comes to farming. Technology is a wonderful thing. And any farmer will tell you, yes. But, I kind of equate it to someone that may not be a great stick, but because they have a great supporting cast, whether it be electronics, this, that, and everything else in their boat, they can become a great angler because of the tools that they have before them. That being said, I'd like to say that farming has certainly evolved into not what it was intended to be when it comes to these massive farms and all these cash crops. Like you said, there's a lot of land out there that these farmers perhaps aren't even tilling anymore. They're not even doing what a farmer should or was doing back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're losing that. We're losing that identity. And I think what Corey's saying is something that we should get back to, that, this is why I love Wicked Tuna. You go out there, you're restricted to only use a rod and reel, and you're only allowed, depending on what your quota is, that many fish, or maybe it's
one a day. You're allowed to bring one in I think one a day, and that's it. And there are all sorts of rules. And then when they caught their limit, everyone's done. Everyone's done. When the quota's finished, everyone's done.
Exactly.
So
it's done a very good job when it comes to managing, a fishery that is I don't want to say endangered, but it isn't. It's not doing as well as it should. So, having said that, if we can sort of jump back a bit, maybe take some of the technological advances out of the equation and do it this way, it can become sustainable, because that's what we want, right? That's all we're trying to get here is sustainable fisheries. So to Steve's point, it sounds a little bit more about feeding the people, or is it more about feeding the bank account?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. And I'll tell you, this is where I'll bring you on this now is there's a little more statistics from Statistics Canada about farming in Canada. And the only growth area in the farming sector are farms that bring in less than $100,000 a year. They're started by people under 35 years of age, and they are primarily these sort of community-supported agricultural operations, right? Where they have these giant vegetable gardens and chickens and ducks and turkeys running around, and it's free range, type stuff, and boxes and all that. That type of farming operation is growing. Supported agriculture. I'm sure everyone's heard of that, right? And everyone's maybe bought a box of that or seen it at the vegetable market, at the farmer's market. You see these people there selling their stuff, right? And those ones are the number of those farmers is actually growing. They're finding a way to buy 100 acres or 50 acres or even 10 acres you can do it with. And they're growing. And you see this now with the seafood sector. Community supported seafood, and you see these small time commercial fishers. They go out, they bring in their fish, they're met there at the dock by the buyer who has already pre-sold their catch, and you basically sign up for a box of seafood every month or every 2 weeks, and you get whatever's in season, right? It could be oysters today, and it could be mackerel tomorrow. You don't know what's in season, but it's going to be fresh, and you're going to know who caught it, and you're going to know this is what they say it is. Because the problem with a lot of seafood, about 30% of it that's caught out in the ocean, it's not what it is. It's not what they claim it to be. It's something else. And once you get the skin off, you have no idea.
So here's an idea. Here's a concept, and I love, and it came from this weekend. Moose is going to introduce with OC Nation Hat of the Month Club. What I see is, could we perhaps approach some of these light commercial fishermen and say, I would love to be able to purchase maybe bi-monthly or maybe a week, depending on what your taste buds are and how much you enjoy eating seafood. But I'd love the chance to what you just said, to buy into a subscription. Maybe you pay $300 for it. I don't know. But every month you get a sample pack of whatever, as you said, is in season, whatever that commercial angler is going out to target. And you get a chance to experience sustainable fisheries being fished sustainably. Because I think that's where we lose the whole sustainable. Sustainable fisheries have to be fished sustainably, or it's not going to work. And I think introducing an idea like this where you can get that taste. If you are a seafood lover like I am, I'm not going to turn too much down. So if something we could set up like that, I think it's awesome. I really do.
Yeah, I'll get some more information on that, and I'll share that with the group and where you can find that. I've talked to a lady out west, and she set up a giant organization now. They ship it all across, all the way to Ottawa. So it's in Toronto that you can just pick it up at seafood stores that she has a sort of an arrangement with. It's flash frozen right there. It's processed as soon as it's caught. It's flash frozen, shipped out right away. So you're getting it within weeks, or it's fresh. It's relatively fresh. I mean, it's flash frozen, so it's not frozen, frozen burnt or anything like that. And it's good. And it's like I said, it's caught sustainably. It's caught legally, and you're getting what you paid for. So it's not subsidized. It's not substituted with something crazy.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I know you got others.
Okay, all right, hang on. Okay, yeah. So COVID fishing, right? There was we all started fishing a lot during COVID, but there was a couple that first spring of 2020, and then the spring of 2021. Those were two sort of springs, early summer, where there wasn't a lot of fishing going on because there was the first outbreak and then the second wave, and everyone was still social distancing, and there just wasn't a lot of fishing. So there's this lake not far from here, near Kingston, where some scientists have been studying hook ratios on bass, on black bass, on this lake, Opionge. And they said, normally a lot of the male fish, pre-spawn male bass have been hooked already by people who are maybe fishing spinner baits for pike. Let's call them that, right? And so they have hook wounds. They're pulling off the nest. They're released. They get back to the nest, and maybe the eggs are gone, the fry are gone. And if it's 30% gone, those male bass will just abandon the nest. And this is a big problem, right? When it comes to the spawning of bass, and the successful spawning of bass. So in 2020 and 2021, these scientists went out to the lake and they checked these bass, and their hook wound level was the lowest they'd ever monitored in 40 years.
Interesting.
And as a result, the success of the spawning of these bass was 4 times as successful as normal.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was 2020 and 2021. We're 24 now, and that's 4 years later, right? So these bass are probably 2.5 pounds now on this lake.
Yeah.
So, and that's the same with a lot of the bass lakes, right? It's not just that lake, it's a lot of the bass lakes. So what he's saying is, we shouldn't be closing the fishing season for fish on lakes just to protect bass. That's not the solution, because people aren't going to put up with that anyway. So you can't just say, sorry, no one can fish on this lake, because we know, you say you're fishing per pike with a white spinner bait, but there's a good chance you're hooking bass incidentally as well. And they're saying, why don't we just create little sanctuaries? We know where the prime spawning habitat is on the lake. Let's just say, okay, for 6 weeks, every year, no one should fish in this little area here and this little area over here. Just no fishing for anything in these little zones. And then, come July 1st, it's open again. So, and he said, just by creating this little sanctuary, so the male bass can complete their spawning efforts, the fishing should improve, 4 times. That's what the proof is shown from this COVID experience.
And I think that is something that I think we need to do more of when it comes to spawning fish, or fish that are in that migrational, maybe we create sanctuaries. Maybe sanctuaries, I know it sounds like, oh, here we go, we're taking away accessible angling again. But to your point, if we want these fisheries to remain sustainable and healthy, then, sanctuaries is not a terrible idea.
No, we're not saying close the whole lake. They're just a few key spawning areas where the majority of the bass are spawning, and the other areas where they're still spawning, but maybe it's not as dense. There, you can fish there, you can fish over there, you can fish the other 90% of the lake, but just these couple spots, just leave them alone. And we all have GPS now, so it's not too hard to figure out where it is, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. No, that's a great topic. And we're getting some great comments about the previous topic about Richard Dummett. He said most seafood is in the store is farmed, and he refuses to purchase that.
Good man.
To his point, can we not get wild? And Alicia feels the exact same way. Bill, I'm guilty of buying farm shrimp. It's a weakness. And Bill, your weakness is that you enjoy shrimp. I have the same weakness. And
okay, just to be clear, 90% of aquaculture takes place in closed containment type ponds or tanks or concrete reservoirs, but it's not in the ocean. 90% of seafood aquaculture. The 10% of the seafood aquaculture that's taken place in the pens and the nets in the ocean are the finfish, right? They're steelhead, they're Atlantic salmon, and those are the ones causing the problem. But it's so hard to resist you to buy these fish because they're cheap, and now they're often mislabeled. They call them, they have all sorts of crazy names for them, but they don't say they're farmed. They don't have to say they're farmed. So trying to figure out which are the farmed ones and which are the wild ones. Well, the wild ones say they're wild, and if they don't say they're wild, then they're definitely been farmed.
You know who I'm most jealous of are people who live down along the Gulf Coast in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
You see those shrimp boats go out there, and I drool when I see the amount of shrimp that they bring in. And I think, why is it that we can't get fresh caught shrimp or even frozen shrimp from, the Gulf? And obviously it's cost. I mean, we all know what the reason is. It's more beneficial to keep the prices down and purchase the farm shrimp. But I have to say, when I go down south, I love a good feed of shrimp because I know they're caught locally, or at least from the waters that are local. And is it better tasting? Yeah, I think so. I think there's, and I'm willing to pay that extra if it's available. But the problem is, Bill, it's not. Like, where do you go to a supermarket unless it's a fish store or a fish market that you can get fresh fish? It's not easy.
You know where I get my shrimp? IKEA. They're the small North Atlantic shrimp. They're the size of your baby, your small finger pinky nail. They're just tiny little shrimp. That's as big as they get, but they're wild. They're harvested sustainably, and they're yummy. They're delicious.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
IKEA, and they're not expensive. They're not expensive.
Well, no, it's good to know. Steve agrees that the sanctuary idea is a good concept. Problem is, of course, is who's going to police it. I think the onus gets put on us anglers when sanctuaries are identified. I can say this, with no hesitation. Up at Horwood Lake Lodge, the sanctuaries are well marked for the walleye. And when you're fishing in a sanctuary, the cottagers, the lodge owners, they remind those people that may not understand what the sign represents, that you're in an area you're not supposed to, given the time of day, time of year, time of whatever. But perhaps this is where we step in as anglers and police these waters, because we all know that there's not enough seals around. There's no way in heck we could possibly police it. But a call to tips, 222 tips, at least we can notify as anglers that we're citing people that are in an area they're not supposed to. And to me, that's all we can do at that point as anglers. That's all we can do.
But if it's a no fishing zone, a sanctuary where there's no fishing for 6 weeks, right? You can't, we all see these guys with their white spinner baits and going in fishing over bass nests, right? And 8 feet of water, and exactly what they're going for. And you say, hey, how's the fishing? And they say, oh yeah, no, we're just fishing for pike. Yeah, sure you are. And you watch them reeling in bass after bass, right? And that's their excuse. If they're, how do you argue with that? So if it's just no fishing, it's just no fishing. You just take a picture of the person in the zone and say, you're fishing in a no fishing zone there, buddy, kind of thing, right? And there's no excuses, pike or whatever. There's no excuses. George
comes up with a great comment, as always. That kind of regulation may be useful on well-studied bass lakes where the spawning areas are known. And that's true, because at the end of the day, we have to find out by doing creel samples and all kinds of studies to determine where those spawning grounds are. It would be impractical to try and extend this rule to the vast majority of bass lakes because the government doesn't have the money to collect that kind of detailed data. Also, bass are rapidly extending their distribution, almost like an invasive species. And yeah, I would have to say that depending on the species of bass you're talking about, George, or perhaps you're talking about all of them, it's true. They will find different areas, but
well, look, George might be talking about nippusing too, right? And it's probably not practical for nippusing because it's such a huge lake.
Exactly.
And the bass are, just growing in numbers. But the smaller lakes, we're closer to tourism, closer to cottagers, right? Where you got a lake surrounded by cabins and cottages and a resort and a hotel and 3 boat launches, and it's an hour drive from a big city. That's the lakes that need that little bit of extra loving.
100%. We got time for one more, Lawrence.
All right. So here's a little bad news, and I got a little bad news and a little good news. So the bad news is there was a commercial fisher off the coast of Vancouver Island and a giant ship, and they released the bycatch. They're not, if they catch salmon they're not supposed to be catching. In this case, it was Chinook salmon. They have to throw them back, and once you haul them out of that big net and they're all crushed, they're dead. So they just threw back over 3,000 dead Chinook salmon over the side of the boat. And they figured it was probably enough to feed, the environmentalists were saying it would have been enough to feed 2 or 3 orcas for an entire year. So no one's happy about that, right? Another downside of giant fishing boats. So here's some good news. Guess who got an award from the International Game Fish Association? A Canadian guy.
Lawrence Gunther?
No, I wish. No.
Jay Barnucz? Big Jim. Oh, no, this Moose got this.
No, come on. Someone's got to guess. He's a famous scientist, a fish scientist in Canada for his conservation work.
I'm going to say either Dr. John Castleman, Bruce Tufts.
Dr. Stephen Cook.
Stephen Cook. That was my third guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And no offense to Bruce Tufts and Castleman, man. They're all good scientists for sure. Yeah. But Dr. Stephen Cook has been doing stuff on research and sitting on so many committees and leading so many great research operations. He has 250 students under him, undergraduates, graduates, postdocs every year at Carleton University. And he does a lot of work in the States too. So he's got some notoriety down there, right? He does a lot of work with bonefish releases and bonefish best handling practices. So he's a Canadian superstar. Like, he's one of our Canadian boys, went down there and fishing the Bass Master Classic, right? This guy's down there doing science and he's making us proud.
Well, he made me proud, and I can't thank that gentleman enough when it comes to when I was learning about raising walleye. A lot of his literature, I would read, and he's actually a guy that I would love to meet, just to shake his hand to say, hey, thanks, man. I'll tell you, the research that you provided, the information that you shared with people like me who just could not get enough of it. Big shout out to all Steve, Dr. Castleman, Bruce Tufts. There's a whole list of them. Yeah. You guys, I tell you, thank you for all your hard work, and it's great to see them being recognized.
Yeah, man. For
awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Lawrence, as always, it's a great time. We always get well informed. There's lots of great information. As I said, if you want to know more about what Lawrence does with Bluefish Canada, by all means, go over to www.bluefishcanada.ca. And of course, Bluefish Radio. This podcast, as well as many more, are in the library. Just go to Alexa and say, hey, what's new on Bluefish Radio? And up it will pop.
Thanks, buddy.
Lawrence, you have yourself a great week, man. Thanks so much for all you do and all you are. Our community is better because of it.
Oh, man. You too, man. You too.
All the best, my friend. We have Jason Barnucz coming up right after a word from his sponsor.
The Finisher is one of the most unique baits I've ever seen.
This bait is designed to fish for forward-facing sonar, and you work it with quick, snappy strokes with a rod tip on the semi-slack line to give it a nice side-to-side action.
The lateral movement is insane.
It may go right twice, then left, then up, then down. I mean, it's all over the place.
Not only can you cast it out in front of the boat and fish it back towards you, you can also fish it vertically, so it allows you to change on the fly.
The thing that I really like about this bait is some of these fish are suspended. We might be in 30 to 35 feet of water. These fish might be 10 feet off the bottom. And this thing sinks a little bit slower than your typical real heavy glide baits. But what it allows you to do is keep the bait above those suspended fish.
You see a fish on your sonar and it might be out there 80, 90, 100 feet. This thing casts like a little bullet.
It also gets down to the fish very fast because it tends to tilt nose down and it sinks.
I can keep it down there in the strike zone and work it side to side, super aggressive. Man, it generates a bunch of bites.
It really is amazing at getting fish to react that you would not catch otherwise.
Jay Barnucz is in the house.
What is happening, man?
You must be you got to be a little tired. You've been going hard there for a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a long few weeks, man. It really has. So, and we're just getting started. We're just getting started. So, yeah, we leave for Oklahoma in a week. Well, Wednesday. It'll be a week Wednesday morning. So I'm kind of thinking it's a week because the last 2 days of that prep it's going by fast, dude. We got vehicles getting serviced. Proctor Marine and Simcoe's going to check over our kayak trailer tomorrow, have it back by the end of the week. We are doing, we're in fishing mode now. You know, we're literally, well, while I was listening to the guys talk and I was chiming in a bit, I was literally packing up some reels in line for Owen. So helping him get ready. I have a to-do list that I've been given to give him a hand. So yeah. Hey, we lost Scotty. Cool. It's all my own show. Okay. So now it's my show now because Scott's gone. Hey, someone go in the comments and let me know that I'm still here. Or am I really here? We'll get all existential on you guys. Anyone? All right. Got a couple thumbs up. So I guess we're still good to go. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about the weekend, everybody. I just want to give a shout out to all of the great folks that came down to Woodstock on Sunday. And you know what? And actually on Saturday, let's talk about Saturday first. So Saturday, Owen and Trevor and I got to attend the Norfolk Home and Lifestyle Show. And that show was put on by the Simcoe and District Chamber of Commerce. And what's cool about that show is that there's not a fishing person in the place other than the three of us. We were invited there to promote fishing down here in Norfolk. And if any of you haven't been to Norfolk, be sure to come down sometime. We gave a great talk about Long Point Bay, the inner and outer bay, the largemouth fishery, the smallmouth fishery. We talked about some of the inland lakes. And we also just talked about how folks can just get out fishing to our local area. So in between the mixologists, the interior decorators, the gardeners, and a few others, there was our little fishing seminar. And it went
there we go.
Well. Hey, don't worry, buddy. I've just been giving everyone updates on my home show trip. So it's all good.
Well,
you all right?
That. I don't know what's going on with our internet. Lately, it has been hit or miss.
I thought you just finally fell over. Honestly, Scotty, I thought that was it. Scotty,
I'm getting texts right now. Where'd you go? Jason's on there talking to himself. Like, what are you doing?
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. Well, I apologize, everybody, but here, Jay's back. Jay, as I said, first and foremost, I'm not even sure what you said, where you were at. But
no, I was just giving an update on our home show experience and how we were speaking fishing in between all of the interior decorators, the mixologists, the gardeners, Frankie Flowers, Frankie Ferragini was there from City TV, and then there was just the three of us talking kayak fishing in Norfolk and all the good stuff about it. So yeah, we don't have to repeat that. I'm just letting the folks give it. We're building up to our trip to Woodstock on Sunday. But what was cool about the home show, Scotty, and I mentioned this to you on Sunday, was we're at the home show with a bunch of people there, and all the dealers there. It's a trade show. It is roofers, plumbers, interior design, hot tubs, like all that kind of stuff. And we still had a half dozen or a dozen folks ask us, "You going to Woodstock tomorrow? You going to Woodstock tomorrow? You going to Woodstock tomorrow?" This is no joke. People I don't know asking me, "Hey, I hear there's a tackle show in Woodstock tomorrow." So, and if you're going to get a half a dozen people from the little town of Simcoe at their home show asking about the tackle show in Woodstock, you've hit where you had to, man. You did a good job, buddy. So, yeah. So kudos to you. And the show was great. I don't have to say much about the show. Like this was probably our last seminar that we've done. The boys have done, I think this was their 8th or 9th seminar in the past 2 months. And so they've had practice, but they nailed it. Like I'm just really proud of them in the way that they carry themselves, and not just on the stage, but off the stage. When people come and ask them questions, it's for a lot of us, it's so easy to talk to people when you're talking about what you love, what you're passionate about. But what I love even more is, and I think if anyone works with a lot of teenagers today, I'm not putting anyone down, a lot of teenagers don't know really how to shake a hand, how to make eye contact, how to have that conversation. And I'm really proud of Trevor and Owen for just being a couple good young men who love talking about fishing and are they're engaging, and they're willing to talk to people, and put themselves out there, and they're just very genuine. So, and a lot of that comes with they're young and they're youthful, and that's all great. But I really think that they're good young men. They can carry a conversation and talk about the topic. So kudos.
Couldn't agree more, Jay. And as I said, they are just living out the vision that I had. Well, I had for Trevor, and then after meeting Owen, they got this industry by the short and curlies, in my opinion. If they continue to hone their craft, hone their skills, and there's a future. I'm sure you see it. I'm sure others see it and share my same beliefs. It's there if they want it. That's about the best way I can put it.
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to mention too, like I love how they get other young people interested in the outdoors too, and it hits everyone. It's not just their peers. Like, I had some great messages from folks. You saw some of the comments earlier about Mark's wife Linda bought a kayak. Well, I got a really, really wonderful message from her about how she had a conversation with Trevor about kayak fishing, and how he's just so genuine and talked about his passion, and and he's not trying to sell Linda a kayak. He's just telling you how he feels about it. Like, he loves it that much. He's not trying to sell anything, but he sells stuff because he's just so darn passionate. It just oozes out of him, right? So, and to hear a comment like that from anyone is just, it as a parent, it really hits home. I sent it to Heather, and I'm sure Heather gets a little teary-eyed easily, but yeah,
a lot of great comments have been coming up here about you as parents.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, you two are, as I say, a match made in heaven. You are, I don't know, you guys have done a fantastic job with both your kids, and I'm so proud of both of them. And as I said, it should be a true testament to both you and Heather.
Well, and I want to say too, and this is a little bit different, but I want to talk about Stephanie. So people may not know this about Stephanie, but she doesn't do well in crowds. She has a lot of anxiousness, Scotty. And what I love, what helps her, one of her big helps is fishing shows, because it's a crowded place, it's a busy place, but she's surrounded by good, kind people that talk to her and make her feel welcome. I'm not saying she doesn't feel welcome at big crowded events, but I know she doesn't enjoy big crowds. It's how she's made. But at a fishing show, people make her, she just feels so welcome there. I know this. I see it in her eyes, like she can't hide it. So I want to say thanks to everyone who goes out of their way to say hello to Stephanie. And she loves being part of this. And she knows she's not as passionate about angling as her brother is, but she loves family, and she loves community, and she loves kind people. And I know that I want to buy her the hat, Moose's new brand, the Be Kind, or okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I want to get her that hat, because we've always, our motto around here, ever since they've been little, has been be kind. If you're ever wondering how to be, you be kind. You be kind no matter what. And you always take that high road and be kind. And it's written up on Heather's desk, be kind. And we had it on a blackboard in the kitchen for years, be kind, right? And so always be kind. And I think that she's the epitome of that, because she's always kind, and she's always smiling, and she's nervous, and she is very shy. But Alicia hit it how it was just more than a show. It was just an event where so many kind people and like-minded people came together. And a lot of fishing shows are like that. But I really felt that Sunday show was a little more. There was a little more. There was just a little sprig of more on that. And I loved it. I really loved the show, Scotty.
Well, you know what? As I said, you certainly helped make it a success. And I can't thank the Barnucz family as a whole, including Owen, enough for what you guys do for us, for the community, for the industry at large. So the industry at large, what? Let's challenge Trevor here. I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
All right.
Has Trevor sold a kayak today?
He has not sold. I don't know if he sold one today.
Okay.
He sold several kayaks the last.
Okay,
few
so
days.
let's say no. So you know what? Trevor's had an off day. He hasn't sold a kayak today. Jay, let's you and I sell a kayak to Bill Landry. Bill Landry is asking.
Okay.
Do kayaks come with a self-propelled the paddles? I'd be into that. Now, what he's trying to say, as he mentions down here, my bad. I meant like foot pedals. I guess they are self-propelled. Let's sell Bill a kayak. Let's tell him how these things get around so that we can get him on the water in something that I think is
so
new.
I have great news. Okay, so Bill, I'm going to walk you through my kayak spiel, as I'll call it. Okay, so you have your base level kayak, which is basically a piece of plastic that you sit in and you paddle. All right, and then you go up a step where you paddle the kayak. Then you have foot steering. So you don't have to worry about steering. Instead of having to paddle, so you stay in a straight line, you have foot steering to help you do that. And then you take another step up where you actually have a pedal drive and there's hand steering. And then you take another step up and you can actually have a trolling motor and you steer that like a normal trolling motor. Now I'll tell you this, what's great about the DOS King kayaks, which some of the folks were chatting about in the chat room tonight, is you can actually buy one with a foot pedal, so pedals and a propeller, or you can swap out a trolling motor in that same spot. There's kayaks on the market now that have spot lock, Minn Kota spot lock on them. It's basically the sky's the limit with kayaks. You can spend anywhere from $500 to $5,000, and you can find something in between that fits your budget. But if you want to have a self-propelled kayak with a trolling motor, there's lots of options out there right now. And take a look at DOS King. They're getting a great following here in Canada and beyond. It's wonderful.
All right, there's the cast. You've picked the bait. You've set the presentation. We're just waiting for the bobber to go down. Bill, have you heard enough? Have you bought into this? Are you going to buy a kayak based on Jay's answer? Because you need to help us out here. We need to be better than Trevor. Just once in our life, we need to be better than Trevor. Did we sell you a kayak, Bill? Give us a thumbs up. And we'll
and if you ever, honestly, and anyone has questions about kayaks, we are definitely, we are always ready to talk about kayaks. I've had, actually, you know what? I have to say I might have sold a kayak before the show today because I had someone reach out to me about kayaks this morning. I won't say, but it's a very good friend of this show. And she's been looking at buying a kayak for a couple of years, and I think I might have turned her into buying one. She might be a daughter of someone that we know on this show that might work with me, but we're not going to go there. But
interesting. Yeah. Well, I'm here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Bill, if you go over to DOS King and you buy a beautiful kayak that they have right now, and I tell you, there is a great line of some serious angler friendly kayaks from DOS King. Make sure you say it was Jay and Scotty that sent you.
And listen, I'm going to say this, and this is not meant to be a shameless plug. Darren Ford, who's the owner of DOS King Kayaks, that guy can sell kayaks. Do you think I love watching that man work. He knows the industry so well. So Mitch and anyone else thinking about buying a kayak this year, get your butt down to CanCast or any other show DOS King is at. And they're not just fishing shows. DOS King will be at RV shows and a bunch of other shows. There's still a few left in Ontario this spring if you're in Southern Ontario, or just call him because he has got some amazing prices on his kayaks, like shockingly low prices on the same kayaks that Trevor and I are using. Like get in on those deals, get in on them because he is all about moving as many kayaks as he can. He wants to get as many people into a kayak as possible. Get in it. Yeah, Linda, Darren is really nice. Very, very upfront about all the details with the kayaks, and he's going to try and put you in the kayak that fits you best. You may not want I have the 13-foot Kratos, right? And Darren has a new one called the Zeus, and it is an absolute tank of a kayak. That may not be what you want. You might want something just smaller for the cottage. He's going to put you in the right one. So, you know what, Mitch? I don't know about that far north, but reach out to Darren. I saw Steve Shaw put the link for Dos King kayaks. Yeah. Jump on the website and reach out to Darren, because he's taking orders now, and then he does spring deliveries with his orders as they come in. So he's out of Collingwood. He does have dealers not as far north as Timmins, but you never know how far north he'll go. So definitely reach out to him at Dos King. And maybe, Scotty, we should have Darren on here one night talking about kayaks.
I think it's a great idea. And,
he does so much for the community too. Like that's partly what took me to him, was I see that, there's a lot of fishing tournaments in Ontario, events, draws, raffles. I know that he's helped out a lot of the ladies in the GCFA and OWA. He just has a great following, and a lot of it's because of his great service and his great product, and he supports the industry really well here in Ontario. So, definitely reach out to Darren and let's have him on the show one night. I think that'd be a smart thing to do. Yeah.
100%, buddy. And there's a lot of great kayak makers out there. You got Old Town, you got Hobie.
Oh yeah. And a lot of this is regional too. Like we're talking Canadian Fishing Network. Like we can't get Dos Kings all the way out to Alberta necessarily, and Darren will try to do whatever he can. But I will tell you definitely to make sure, check your local dealer, support local. Like these are tough times people are going through right now. Yeah. They are. So support local where you can. So and Bill, you're 6'2", 250. Well, dude, I got a few on you. I don't want to admit it, but I do. So, Bill, I'm 6'3" and I'm more than 250, and I fish hands free in my prop driven pedal drive kayak, no problem. So, it's now I don't stand in mine. Trevor stands in his. Owen stands in his. They do like somersaults and backflips. They're flipping jigs standing up. They're skipping jigs under docks from standing. I'm not as agile in a kayak as they are, but I haven't had an issue at all. So, and I always tell people this too. If you're a big person and you're getting into a kayak, a good judge of if it will be suitable for you or not, if you've spent time in your life and you're familiar with your balance, like in a canoe, like if you've paddled a canoe, or that kind of, you've been in a small john boat maybe, where where your balance is and where you should be seated. Like I've been canoeing my entire life as well, and I've always been a big guy. If you can be in a canoe, you can be in a kayak. And the fishing kayaks, Bill and Mitch and others on here, like they're really stable. And I have a running joke that I've never seen a fishing kayak flip over. I haven't, but I've seen people fall out of them because they get leaning over too far to untangle something off the side. Their center of gravity, Scotty, gets over that center line too far, and they go over, and now they're in the water, and the kayak just pops right back up. And then they have to worry about getting back in the kayak.
Yes.
So I think one thing about kayak fishing that I love too, you can do it with friends. And if you have an issue, you got someone else that can give you a hand. So stands at Tim Hortons. I don't even stand at Tim Hortons, Tony. Don't even bring that up. You know what I do, Tony? I hardly go to Tim's anymore. And if I do, I order in advance and I send my kids in to get it. I'm not even going in there anymore. But I do love an apple fritter. I will say that I do love an apple fritter on occasion. So
and someone has told me that they're coming back with the Dutchie, that the Dutchie's actually coming back. They took it away.
I saw the Dutchie, the walnut crunch, and the honey curler, I think, came back. So yeah, and those are all classics, man. I used to love a good Dutchie. Now, a lot of people don't like raisins. I'm okay with the raisins. I got nothing against raisins. It's all
so how is it? We protest about them taking our Dutchies away, our crullers and all that.
Yeah,
and we put up enough of a fuss that they bring that back. If we could only be that effective when it comes to interest rates, carbon tax, and a whole bunch of other issues that we're not going to talk about here because this is a fishing show.
Well, donuts are part of fishing, Scotty. Like if anyone's been on a fishing trip, if you want a quick rush of sugar, nothing satisfies that than a Tim Hortons double and an apple fritter. Like that will just that sets the old blood sugar right through the roof, right? So yeah. Oh, Adrian, yeah, country style. Yes, if Heather was here, she'll tell me that country style is the choice, not Tim Hortons. That's for sure. And if there's any Robbins Donuts fans in the room, I do love a good Robbins donut once in a while. Robbins.
Amen.
Yeah,
now listen, chocolate. This is interesting. Chocolate dip is still the least calories.
It's true. Listen, Curtis Smith works at my office with me, and he's always been a real fit guy, which is kind of funny to work with Curtis because he's like super fit all the time, and I am not. But we used to, when the calories first came out, they started putting calories on things, and we'd be standing in line at Tim's in the morning, so we got the work truck outside, we got the John boat hooked up, we're going to some marsh somewhere. I need my morning coffee. So we go in there, and the calories are on everything now. The chocolate dip donut is the lowest calorie count. It's lower than old fashioned, lower than chocolate glaze. The chocolate dip, if you want to count calories, you want the lowest calorie count for a donut, it is the chocolate dip donut. No joke.
Interesting.
And muffins, you might as well have apple fritters galore because muffins are like about 20 or 30% more calories than a donut. Basically, you're eating cake, just so you know. So get yourself an apple fritter. That's right.
Unreal.
See, look at all these anglers, Scotty. Look at all these anglers and donut talk. Everyone, anglers love donuts. This is proof in the pudding right here.
Yeah, it's true, and we're getting all kinds of different. We got the sugar shack all the way out west. We've got country style. Do they still have day olds? Do they still have those bags of day old donuts, or have they gotten away from that?
I don't think they're allowed to do that anymore. But yeah, I'm with you, Bill. I miss Robbins Donuts, man. I used to love hanging out at. There was a Robbins in downtown Simcoe we used to hang out at on occasion when I was in my teens. Yeah.
No, Steve says no, so no more day olds.
All right, sorry, no more day olds. But hey, listen, coffee and donuts is part of the trip, man. It always has been. So
now I'm excited. I know it's going to be a bit of a journey for you. I know you're getting pumped to head down to Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, let me give you a couple updates. We were talking backstage, so I think that we're kind of on a little bit of a comical tour here. We'll keep this comedy rolling. So if everyone who's been on a great trip before, Heather is a wonderful planner. Heather is probably the best planner that I've ever planned with. She's much better than I am, and she likes to make sure all details are lined up. So when the bed and breakfast, the notes say, as you read about the beautiful bed and breakfast that Heather and Becky, Owen's mom, found for us, in the notes it says beware of wildlife amongst scenic vistas and all these things. I'm like, beware of wildlife. So I was making these jokes for a couple weeks about. So I have a little bit of a love of Sasquatches. Okay, I love, and I kind of do it in a joking way that I do love about these Sasquatch researchers. Okay, I kind of get a kick out of this. Long story short, I've been making some Sasquatch jokes. We will probably have a Sasquatch on our property in Lake Tenkiller, Oklahoma, which is in the Ozark Mountains. Fast forward to the weekend, we get our note back from our bed and breakfast host. Very, very nice letter back telling us all about what we can expect. But just so we know, the wildlife includes rattlesnakes, water moccasins, scorpions, and venomous spiders. So,
oh my!
And I said to the girls, "Hey, we're 3 hours north of Texas. Like everything in Texas bites you. So now we're preparing for rattlesnakes and water moccasins and scorpions. So that's just great stuff." And then I also found out today that there are some wildfires creeping up from Texas into Oklahoma. This is just becoming quite the adventure, and I love it. I love every bit of what's happening right now. This is just going to get better and better. We are going to have some stories to tell.
Well, what we're hoping, if in fact it happens and it comes to fruition, we're hoping to have you on live next Monday.
No, 2 Mondays.
2 Mondays. Sorry, 2 Mondays.
2 weeks. I'm gonna say this up front. Next Monday, I probably won't be on because we're gonna be in the midst of full-on packing. Yeah. So But we'll keep in touch. We always do. And let's aim for, we'll be in the middle of Owen's pre-fish on that Monday night. So if we can get a good connection down there, we're definitely going to hop on if we can, and we'll give you guys an update live from Lake 10 Killer, Oklahoma. So
right on, buddy.
2 weeks. All
Listen,
right.
you have you've been balls to the wall, going 100 miles an hour. You haven't had a lot of J time, so we're going to bid you farewell tonight. Hopefully, you get a little bit of J, maybe a little bit of Heather time too. But needless to say, buddy, you rocked it. I can't thank you enough for your endurance and your support and what you and Heather have done for your children. It's inspiring, my friend, and you should be. You should feel good about yourself. You should be proud, because I know we are for you.
We are, man. And again, thanks to you guys. We got more donations at the show on Sunday. I don't even know where we're at for donations. I just keep giving the money to Heather and Becky because I don't want to deal with the money. I'm like, I have other things to worry about. I'm like, just make sure I got enough for gas to get there and back, and the rest is taken care of at this point. So the donations have been wonderful by everyone, the kind words, and we'll be in touch, and we'll keep you guys updated on our adventures. Thanks, everyone, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks, I hope.
Right on, Jay. You take care, bud. We got Moose coming up right after a word from our sponsor. Take care, Jay. All the best.
What is Flash Boost? Shimano designed innovative Flash Boost technology. It keeps flashing, which attracts fish whether in a pause or while retrieving. The mirror plate, which is fixed by a spring inside the body, vibrates with the lure action to generate diffuse reflection. Even if you stop the lure action, the inner plate will move and continue to flash, giving the lure a sense of life and inviting a fish bite. This is Flash Boost.
This
is Flash Boost.
This is Moose Boost. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm living. I'm living. I'm loving. All is well. All is well in the hood. All is well in the hood. I'm still on a high from the weekend, which is awesome. Yeah. Awesome. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Honestly, it was nice to see. It was nice to meet some of the folks that are in the West End. What's up, Alicia? That I've never met before. So that was super exciting. I sold some hats. We talked some fishing, and I got to see some product that I hadn't seen before. And believe it or not, picked up some pretty sweet looking glide baits and jerk baits, and you can never have enough of that stuff. So I was a happy boy. And the venue was next to a casino. So, oh boy, let me tell you. Me, Bob, and the Lion, we went to town.
Yes. Oh, and you were killing it early. You came out of the gates. You were flying, man.
You know what? I ordered my food, and the guy says it's going to be about 15 minutes. I said, no problem. Just going to go play that machine over there. And I hit a bonus right away, and I was like, this is incredible. Thank you very much. The casino gods are looking down upon this guy. But I'm like, now I got to wait for my food. 15 minutes is a long time in the casino. A long time. So I gave some back, and then I won some. Then I gave some back, and then I won some. And then I walked out even at the end of it all. But it is what it is. There's a little bit of a gambler in me.
There's a lot of stories too, success stories. You talk about the hats, and I love your idea about the Hat of the Month club. I think that's going to be a huge hit, especially with what you can provide for folks and the custom details that you're able to do with those hats. You were on full display at the show. There was a few vendors that you helped out by giving hats to that also thanked you in the comments. I hope you're able to see that, because it is quite a ways back. But one really cool thing was GCFA. It's tough, and we know, running a community, it's tough, selling swag. We don't really have a product like most of the vendors do. So you're basically selling yourself. You're selling the platform. You're selling your community. And GCFA, I was so happy to hear how many new members they were able to sign up at that show. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Heather's been at it for a very long time, and she's good at what she does, and she's got a wicked crew, and like all the girls there are fantastic. It was a lot of fun. I was impressed, man. I was really impressed. It all came together.
Yeah.
It was a great turnout. There was incredible words by our good friend Andy Polata, who was a smile from ear to ear. Dude, he was so happy for us. And same thing with Kyle. Dude, I heard it was awesome. I went around and had everybody sign that that award that I made for you, and everybody said the same thing. Everybody was happy to be there. They were pumped and excited that, something was happening. There's obviously a bit of a lull and things were canceled. And so a lot of things worked in your favor. The surprise of the Mike's not coming up, and Mike I might not be able to make it. And then Brad not feeling well. And yeah, you dealt with it all. But honestly, I think you and the crew pulled it off, man. It was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, it was, and it was truly a success story that is hopefully I can say this is shared by everybody who came and was a part of it, who volunteered. It was awesome. The Saturday to do the setup, I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with my young son, and we were able to reconnect on the way out there, on the way back. That was a success story in itself. So there were a lot of great takeaways, a lot of great stories that I'm sure we'll get to hear, and hopefully we'll be able to share. But the award itself, Moose, I want to dive into where you came up with the concept, because just for a second, I it's not that I'm showing off the award because it's mine. It's because of what it represents. And you came up with a circle of trust. I don't know where.
Circle of excellence.
Sorry, a circle of excellence. And I don't know where you come up with this stuff. But dude, you do this on a regular basis. You got such a creative mind. But tell me what why, not why I won it, why you thought of this as the award, because I think that's a story in itself.
So Jim had messaged me, called me, you got time for a chat? I said, yeah. And this is something that I know that you and I spoke about years ago, where it was like, we need to reward those who are going above and beyond within our community. And we never really did much about it. We had our posts and our edits that we did, and we recognized this person for this and this person for that, but there was no actual award. And when Jim messaged, pull up the conversation here. Jim's a gem. Honestly, I was so grateful to spend that night before the show with him, just a few hours with that guy, and you're laughing, you're crying, you're joking, he's a gem. And I'm very grateful to have spent some time with Big Jim, because if you guys get a chance to sit and chat with him, he is a man of stories, and you got to follow along. They're awesome. They really are. Sends me a message saying, hey, you got a time for a call? I said, absolutely. For you, Jim, anything. Calls me up. He says, what do you think of this idea? I said, it's fantastic. Something we've talked about in the past. What are your thoughts? He said, okay, why don't we take some time and think about what we're going to call it, and we'll go back and forth until we nail it. I said, all right, I'll start working on the design. Now, the design, the artwork for the Circle of Excellence was already sort of there.
Yep.
But as far as proper wording and proper awards, I think it's going to be more than just one award. There's going to be a leadership award, which the Circle of Excellence is the award. The leadership award is there. There is a list of other awards that I'd like to add to it. Instead of just recognizing one person every year, there's going to be 3, 4, or 5. And I think it starts somewhere with some sort of a board. You know what I mean? There's you, there's Lawrence, there's Jason, there's Big Jim. I think that there's Steve Shaw. There's a group of guys that we can consider to be the board. And based on what we see and who we interact with throughout the year, I think some of these people need to be recognized, young and old. You know what I mean? It's not about a Hall of Fame. It's not about it's a leadership achievement award. It's a, I don't know, we can have fun with it. Most improved spelling, anything, you know what I mean? Biggest fish, anything and everything. But I think we need to recognize more of our members for their support. And when talking to Jim, he just said, you know, who I think the first one should go to. And I said, Jim, but you already have an award. I said, it doesn't get any better than being in the Hall of Fame, buddy. No, he's a gem. He's like, listen, I think Scotty should be the first to that we should recognize, and let's go from there. And I said, sure. And he said, Moose, what do you think of this? In recognition, oh no, that's the spelling error. What do you think of this, buddy? The CFN Award of Recognition. And I said, sounds great. How about the CFN Circle of Excellence Leadership Award? He says, you nailed it. You win.
You always do. You always do, man. And as you said, it's
and then
go ahead.
He did say something. He said, should it be an OFC Nation thing or a CFN combination of? And the reason why I called it the CFN Leadership Award is because it truly is about the whole network. CFN being CFN, OFC being OFC, and OFC Nation being a collaboration of both. So it doesn't matter who's at the top. It's still the same thing. Whether you're a CFN member or you're an OFC Nation member, it's the same thing. And so that's why you see the OFC Nation logo at the bottom. But the award is a CFN Leadership Award. It is a Canadian Fishing Network Award. And the Canadian Fishing Network comprises and consists of the CFN, the GCFAs, the OWAs, the LMNOPs, the QRSs, the TUVs, all of them. It is a Canadian Fishing Network Award. So I was happy, pleased, and honored to give you the first one, design the first one. And I don't think there's anybody in our network that is more deserving at this point in time than you. I could see a list of guys, that the next ones could go to, but we'll just have to let the board decide, and votes will go in, and you guys, everybody, put your nominees in for what they've done, whether it was Stanley bringing kids up, or Lawrence was with his incredible knowledge in Bluefish Radio, or Steve Shaw and his immaculate skills of editing and posting, and so it's again, it's a collaboration of everything that happens in the Canadian fishing world, in our Canadian Fishing Network. So that's my spiel. Thanks, Alicia. I love this too.
I love it too. And Moose, as I said, you're
right.
Man. There is a lot of folks out there doing some great things. There really is. A name that comes to mind, Richard Elliott. The school hatcheries that he does. It may seem simple. It may seem, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. But to me, it hits hard, because if we are going to get kids interested in fishing, we have to get them interested in fish. So what better way than watching them evolve from, a young smolt, or perhaps even just an egg, and let them grow out to be released eventually at some point once they get to that size and they become the yearlings.
It could be Jay's kids. It could be an Ava. It could be anybody. It could be anybody. It's how you put yourself out there to the network to better the network, to better the industry, to help things move along.
100%.
Right? I might even make a dummy award, right? You never know. We have some fun with this stuff. What do you think of the design of it all, though? Dude, and I'll tell you how it came to be. So originally,
it's a great design, but unfortunately, it didn't hold up to the Scotty factor. And of course, I believe it was Richard I hugged, and I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I'm that guy that you see on the sports follies that holds up the Stanley Cup and then drops it. That's what this was. Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It might have been broken before you had it, but you helped it along because I glued it once already. Oh, no way. So originally it was clear acrylic, right? And it was much larger. And then I dropped it. And then so I only had this much of clear acrylic left. And this was literally a day before the show. So I'm already tired and I'm like, I got to make this happen. Couldn't go get any more clear acrylic. Let's just make do with what you got. So it shrunk down a little bit. And so made it happen. I threw it on the laser and the laser cut it all out. And I was like, oh, I'll put the leaf up top. That way, if he wants to hang it or something, that way he could hang it on the leaf. So I'll cut the inside out. Well, it was too thin and I cracked the acrylic. But not only did I crack the acrylic, the laser burnt the back part of the acrylic. So now I got to fix the burnt acrylic. Man, so then I grab a palm sander and I figure I'll sand it once, twice, 3 times and make it crystal clear. Well, if you've ever worked with acrylic, it's a lot of work to get acrylic back to crystal clear after sanding it. So I said, forget this. It's going to be frosted acrylic. And I sanded the whole thing down and then applied to it. And it was perfect, actually, because now you can actually see the signatures on the back. So if it was clear, the signatures wouldn't have worked. So my brain works in mysterious ways. And bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself an award.
Holy smokes. Now, as much of a story as that is, really, and it's actually overshadowed the fact that you got me to sign the darn thing.
That's the best part.
I mean, I was clueless. I thought, Moose, this is so awesome. You're recognizing Steve. I think you said it was for Steve Schott. I'm like,
that's the thing is I didn't say anything. So one of the girls from OWA was at the booth and I was like, oh, come here quickly. Thank God you're here. I need you to sign something. Not realizing you were sitting at the end of the booth and you looked up and I'm like, oh yeah, you got to sign it too. And you're like, what is it? I'm like, oh, it's for the big guy. And you're like, oh yes, good. Yes. Yeah. That was all that was said. It's for the big guy. So thank God you didn't, because I was talking to her and you were signing it. And for a second I had my back to you and I'm thinking, oh shit, did he like flip it over and look at it? Because like maybe you signed it, but you wanted to see what it said on the other side. So for a quick second, I'd had my back to you and I was like, man, I hope he didn't see it. And he didn't. So which is good.
I had no idea. I was absolutely clueless. Here I'm getting summoned to the OFC Nation booth. We're going to do a group shot. I'm like, this is so awesome. We're going to have this massive group shot, which I showed earlier. And of course, this was the pre, if you will, to what eventually happened. But we got together for what I thought was an awesome group shot. And of course, the rest happened. And I'd love to share the speech that I gave after, but I couldn't get the audio to work for whatever reason. But again, this represents, and to those people who are going to win it in the future, you're going to win it because of what you do for the community. You're going to do it because you inspire others to be better. Not whether it's fishing or just better people. You're going to win it because you have done something that no one else is able to do, can do, put the time or effort towards, and it just overshadows a lot of the other efforts that are being done in our community. But there are a host of reasons why I like your idea of having different awards that signify and congratulate those who are doing some really awesome things in this industry.
Absolutely.
Oh, good on you.
It's just gonna be something fun at the end of the year, because I have a feeling that what happened on Sunday is going to continue to happen every year. I think the venue's perfect. Like we said on the phone, minor tweaks here and there. The conversation before this show with all the guys, some great suggestions were put up. But I think it's just perfect timing. It's before the season starts. It's at the end of the ice fishing season. Before the season starts, bang, here you go. Here's your award. Thank you. Appreciate all your, efforts and everything you do, and go out there and continue to do it. So I think it's pretty cool. Darn cool.
I have made a promise to Kyle.
Yes.
That now that our show is done.
On my list. See my list? This is my list.
It's time to pump the crap out of CanCast.
Okay, so here's going to be a couple things. So for those of you that don't know, now you know. CanCast, April 7th, 2024, Peterborough Memorial Center. It all starts at the social. And the reason why it starts at the social is because Kyle, Sean, Mark, and a handful of other people have always said, this is the social part of fishing. This is the show where it's more social than anything. This is the, hey, let's get together and chat with our friends now that we're, the seasons wind down and the trade shows and the work and the this and the, it's about to start. We're about to go fishing. The social is where it all starts. So the social this year is going to happen at Shoeless Joe's the day before the actual social. So on April 6th, dinner, drinks, karaoke, laughter, good times is to be had by all. So that's going to be a blast. So that's for all the vendors to attend and enjoy.
Is that Quinn calling right now? Is he invited? Is Quinn invited this year?
Oh, he'll be there. He'll be there.
Oh, man, I tell you, there is no one funnier that I've had drinks with than Sean Quinn. He is hands down one of the funniest gentlemen I've ever seen on two legs.
And he's got a heart of gold, that kid, man. He's a gem. He's one of a kind. He's a gem. But at CanCast, there's a couple things that we are lacking, and right now it's apparel. And as y'all know, we've had this every 2 years. We kind of replenish the apparel. Well, it's getting to that point where we need to replenish the apparel because we got nothing left. But I don't want to design something that people aren't going to buy. Now, I've put together a design. Scotty likes it. I think Jeff liked it. I haven't really talked to him about it, but it's just a simple OFC Nation logo that's going to go on a shirt. But what I want to do is I want to design 2 different shirts. So one is going to be the one that we like and the one that we put out. And the second one is going to be made by one of you out there watching in CFN land, OFC Nation. I want you guys to design a shirt. Keep it simple. It'll be a one-color shirt, white vinyl or gray vinyl or black vinyl or red vinyl or whatever it is that you design. Keep it simple. We can't do gradients because then it gets costly. Like a shirt like this would cost a fortune. Sorry. I'm just not going to do it. It's not in the budget. But we want you to design something. We want to see what you guys come up with. So it's official. It's out there. Submit your entries to either myself or Scotty, and we are going to have shirts made that you, the members, have put together. Maybe we'll do a vote. Maybe we'll, and don't get upset if people don't like your design. Everybody's different. But yeah, maybe we'll pick our favorite 3 and put it out there, and you guys pick 1, 2, or 3, and then we're going to roll with it. We're going to do t-shirts. We're going to do hoodies like we always do. We may do long sleeves. I highly doubt it, but t-shirts, hoodies. And then you talked briefly about the hat program that I'm going to roll out. For now, we've got lots of patches left for the OFC Nation patches, as you can see on Scotty's head. So we'll have the OG patch still there. The OG patch is available anytime. What you will not see are pre-made hats at the show. Reason being is everybody's different. So some people like that patch, but they want it on the side of the hat. And some people like it at the front of the hat. And some people like it on the quarter panel. So instead of wasting our money and resources, I'm just going to bring the press. So you're going to pick a hat, you're going to pick a patch, and you're going to roll with it. We'll have hooks. We'll have different silhouettes of fish. We'll have there's going to be a whole bunch of pre-made patches. And again, if there's any specific pre-made patches that you want, we do cut them out of leatherette, brown, tan, rawhide, black, blue, red, green, orange, whatever. Send me a message and I'll do my best to get some pre-made patches, leatherette patches done up. And at the show, you'll be able to pick from, I think I've got 17 or 20 different colors and styles of hats. And we'll be able to put it on wherever you want. You want it on the brim, we can put it on the brim. You want it on the corner, we can put it on the corner. You want it on this corner, on the side, whatever you guys want. Ed McKenzie says, I want to see. What do you want to see, Ed? Ed, actually, I have your hat here. So I have one of Ed McKenzie's hats here where I put 2 walleye on either side of his stream side hat. So that's doable too. So pre-made patches and hats will be available at the show for you to basically pick and choose and do what you want. I want a red hat like
Moose's. I think it hits harder, and I like the standout.
Oh, yeah. Make Fishing Great Again?
100%.
So Make Fishing Great Again was put out there by a group of friends of ours. They actually sell this hat. So I know it's just a saying and anybody can do it. I just wouldn't because they're already doing it. But there's companies out there like Fat Bass who have said, you know, the make fishing great again. The guys from Blue Collar, they've made these hats, make fishing great again. We'll come up with our own sort of make fishing great again. As soon as Donald Trump gets reelected, I'm sure there's all kinds of nonsense that'll come out of his mouth that we could turn into fishing sayings.
Absolutely.
Sensitive subject. Too soon.
I like that.
But either way, guys, so there will be OFC Nation t-shirts available, but we want you guys to design one. So start sending them in. Which idea is having you? Let's just make it happen. Design something and send it over. Send it over. So hats will be available. Shirts will be available. Now, as far as our giveaway, our traveling rod and reel that has now been to 3-4 shows has yet to be won. So at CanCast, it has to be won. And last year, funny enough, at CanCast, the rod and reel combo was won at CanCast and closer to the end of the day because we started eliminating keys. We're going to do the same thing at this show. But if you purchase any Shimano product, rod, reel, mastiff, baits, you come to the booth, show proof of purchase, and you're not going to get one key, but you'll get 3 keys. And any of those 3 keys, if they open a lock, you're going to win yourself an SLX rod and a brand new Noski. So, was there something else too? The bag. We have a bag full of tackle, full of tackle. Every one of our supporters have shoved something into this bag. If you don't know, you can go to Princess Auto and they have fishing bags, waterproof bags, and Plano bags and all kinds of bags on sale for like $29. And they come with 3 Plano boxes in them. There you go. Go to, Princess Auto and find a bag. But we've got this bag full of tackle, rod and reel combo. And if you buy Shimano product at CanCast, we're going to give you not 1 chance, but 3 chances to open that lock to win another rod and reel combo. So that's our show giveaway. That's our show special. And that's about all I have about for CanCast. But there's also other events coming up. So CanCast, April 7th. Come down to the social the day before. Come see us at the booth with proof of purchase of a Shimano rod and reel or a rod or line or a bait or something. And you get 3 keys for your chance to win an SLX combo and a Noski reel. Now, boom. Well, what's coming up next? What's right after that? OFC Nation Charity Tournament. We're going to do the Pike Tournament thing again. Before the Pike Tournament, the Aurelia Perch Festival recently was taken over by our good friend, Mr. Andy Pilata. And Aurelia has called him up and said, hey, can you run the Aurelia Perch Festival? So keep your eyes open for the information. It'll be out really, really soon. The Aurelia Perch Festival, there's a lot of good prizes. I don't want to spill the beans, but there might be a very, very large prize every day for 3 days. So I'm going to say it's a large prize. It's big. That's him calling me now. Sorry, buddy. So tagged fish, big prizes, great times. Aurelia Perch Festival is the next fishing event. And then in May 20th is going to be our May 20th is going to be our Pike Charity Tournament. So we're going to ride his coattails when it comes to the Pike Lunker Bowl. And we're going to do the same thing we did last year. Barbecue, drinks, good times. Hopefully, please, fingers crossed from now. We do not get we got poured on last year. It was so rainy and so wet, but we all had a blast, a great time. It was a really, really good time. So if you have yourself a decent rain suit, you were fine. If you didn't have a rain suit, you got a little wet, but it was still a really good time. So CanCast, Aurelia Perch Festival, OFC Nation Charity Tournament. Those are the next 3 big events. You do not want to miss them. Send your t-shirt ideas in to me and Scotty, And keep your eye out for the Hat of the Month Club. That will be rolling out in the next 6 months. It's going to be, it takes a little bit of time to put that together. But yeah, that's all I got for now. There's no tech tip or anything like that. I feel like I pumped you guys full of, camera ideas. So this is news with Moose. Moose news.
Right
Moose
on.
news. That's it.
And everybody's asking where the pike tournament is going to be held. It's at
Balsam Lake.
But particularly, where are you going to be launching your boat? Does it matter? Can you rent a cottage on the lake and participate still?
You can rent the cottage anywhere on the lake as long as you're at the Pride of Balsam in the morning to check in. Show up to the Pride of Balsam. There's a boat launch there. There's the public boat launch next door. You show up to the table. You pay your registration fee. We may do a pre-registration prize just to entice people to register early, so we're working on that. But the sooner you get in, the better. It's an hourly fish tournament, so there's not one prize. There's multiple prizes. So we're working on that. But it's an hourly fish tournament for the CSFL. So you could sign up for just the OFC Nation charity tournament, or you could sign up for both the CSFL Pike Lunker Bowl and OFC Nation charity tournament together. Now, you're allowed 3 people to a boat. If you have a kayak or a canoe, it's fine. You can do that, but you have to be able to bring the fish in safely. You have to have a proper vessel, proper live well, proper kill switch. The rules and regulations will be all up on the CSFL page, but if you go to the CSFL website, you can sign up for the Lunker Bowl and the OFC Nation charity tournament. So that's just a little bit of the info, and we'll talk about that more as we get closer and closer and closer to it.
Right on, Moose. Well, listen, it's been a long weekend. I know you have gone without sleep. I know there's others like myself who've gone without sleep. We've had everybody here for 2.5 hours. We've had internet issues, Wi-Fi issues, but at the end of the day, the show's a success because we have some great people that watch and come here every Monday. And I'd like to have Moose a part of this, our show that we do every Monday as well. Time providing, and of course, how busy he is doing some wondrous things for everybody in our community and in his own life. Moose, here's to you, man. Thanks so much. You're a gem. And I don't know, OFC Nation, CFN, I don't know where we'd be without you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys a lot. Share. Everything that we post, you keep sharing. We'll keep working away. And our supporters, they'll appreciate it.
Amen, brother. Hang around. I'll have a talk with you right after this. I'll come back. But in the meantime, we'll bid farewell. That is Moose. This is CFN, OFC Nation in full effect. Again, thanks so much to all of you who joined. All of you came to the show. All of you that support what we do. It means the world to all of us. And again, it was nice to be able to pay back on Sunday, yesterday, to an industry and a community that has done so much to support our progress, our success. Our success is your success. So thanks to everyone. And if I've forgotten, again, I'm waiting for my phone. Light it up. If I forgot to thank you, my apologies. On that note, I want you guys all have a great week. Get ready. Get excited for fishing. It's coming. It's happening. The thaw is on. So let's get it done. Dave, take us away, my friend. All the best. Love you all. Take care. Peace.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end.